For a country that relies heavily on tourism, the return of cruise ships and tourists is an exciting moment for Spain. NTD's Joy Duguid brings us more.
TUI's Mein Schiff 2 cruise liner arrived in Malaga on Tuesday. It's the first such ship to dock at a port in the Spanish mainland since they were banned over a year ago due to the pandemic. President of Malaga Port Authority, Juan Milan, says they have been waiting 15 months for this moment.
We are not at the level of 2019, but undoubtedly this is an economic push. It will help reactivate the city because these thousands of passengers are an injection for the economy.
A local tour guide is very happy too.
I think everything is going to go on very easy because we have a very good organization and everybody is working very hard to do so.
The Mein Schiff 2 originally sailed from Germany and made its way to Spain's Canary Islands before arriving in Malaga, southern Spain.
Very successful, and now we're here on the mainland, and we are exploring the big cities here: Barcelona, Valencia, Malaga, Cadiz. So this is a very great time, and we're very happy to being here. Yeah.
Spain was the world's second most visited country before the pandemic, and 12% of its GDP relied on foreign tourism. Tourism has begun a tentative rebound after plummeting 80% last year, but still has a long way to go. Joy Duguid, NTD News.
Cristiano Ronaldo's snub of Coca-Cola wiped almost £3 billion of the market value of the European Football Championship sponsor. The football superstar moved 2 bottles away from him at a Euro 2020 news conference this week. He then held up a bottle of water saying water in Portuguese, implying to drink water instead. After the conference, he went on to score 2 goals in a winning match against Hungary. The Juventus and Portugal forward is known for his health awareness and has pushed his top playing days well into his 30s. On Tuesday, Ronaldo became the all-time highest goal scorer at European Championship finals. And in other news, a deal for a 5-year ceasefire in a US-EU dispute over aircraft subsidies has softened trade tensions. But other unresolved disputes remain. NTD's Eddie Aitken brings us the details.
The US and EU finally reached a truce on Tuesday, settling the World Trade Organization's longest-running dispute. The end of the 17-year rift over subsidies to Boeing and Airbus will suspend billions in punitive tariffs for 5 years.
For almost 20 years, we have been at each other's throats, fighting each other in terms of the terms of competition between our industries.
It goes a long way toward repairing a commercial relationship of over £600 billion in two-way trade. But the breakthrough still leaves some trade friction between the two. Most prominently, US President Joe Biden kept in place taxes that President Donald Trump imposed on European steel and aluminium.
We agreed that we both want indeed to preserve a vibrant steel and aluminium industry. This is important, and we need to work together to address the serious global overcapacity problems we face.
They affect £5.5 billion of EU metal exports. The EU Commission is challenging the taxes at the WTO. Several European countries consider imposing digital service taxes aimed at US big tech companies such as Google. Calling them unfair, the US has prepared tariffs in retaliation, unless a global corporate tax resolves this dispute. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.
NATO leaders are saying China's growing influence is presenting challenges to security. They said this in a summit communique on Monday.
China's growing influence and international policies present challenges to alliance security. We see them in cyberspace. We see China in Africa, in the Arctic, but we also see China investing heavily in our own critical infrastructure and trying to control it.
The NATO Secretary General said at the summit meeting on Monday that the alliance is now at the pivotal time. This is the first NATO summit meeting with U.S. President Biden. He talked about new challenges from Russia and China and referred to Western efforts since the 1990s to bring both countries into the rank of democracies.
We have Russia that is not acting in a way that is consistent with what we had hoped, and as well as China.
The military alliance consists of 28 European countries, plus the U.S. and Canada. At the same time, member states also have their economic ties to China in mind. The most powerful NATO member in Europe, Germany, had a trade volume of about $260 billion with China last year. And the head of the alliance, the U.S., had about $560 billion.
A seat on a spaceship ride with billionaire Jeff Bezos sold for $28 million over the weekend. It was a month-long bidding process for the sightseeing trip ahead of Blue Origin's maiden voyage next month. Jason Albano reports.
I have 7 million right here. Look at 7-1. Now,
just how much would you pay for a space ride with the world's richest man?
7 million, 3, now is the time.
7 minutes into a live auction on Saturday, one bidder won that privilege for $28 million.
And that is sold $28 million to number 107.
That concluded a month-long bidding process for a sightseeing trip on rocket company Blue Origin's maiden voyage along with founder Jeff Bezos. The identity of the winner was not immediately disclosed.
It's about 10 times higher in altitude than your normal commercial jet flights.
The sale illustrates a potential market for private commercial space travel. In the month leading up to Saturday's live auction, Blue Origin said more than 6,000 people from at least 140 countries submitted bids. Investment banking company UBS estimates a $3 billion annual space tourism market by 2030. That's with optimism that space travel will become mainstream as technology is proven and costs fall. The prospect is fueling a race among tech giants to be the first to travel beyond Earth's atmosphere. Bezos is competing against the likes of fellow billionaires Elon Musk's SpaceX and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, though one source familiar with the matter says Branson just might steal Bezos' thunder. That source says Branson could possibly be on a test flight to the edge of space over the July 4th weekend. Bezos and Saturday's winner are not expected to take off from West Texas until July 20.
Athletes get massive sponsorship contracts to wear brand clothing when competing. But apparently Nike's running shoes are so good, even competing brands let their athletes wear them. NTD's Gordon Lee finds out what's afoot.
Nike's running shoes are so powerful, even brand competitors let their athletes wear them in races. Brooks, On, even Reebok allow runners they sponsor to wear Nike's innovative designs.
Bringing more cushioning to a shoe could really help athletes in a way that we never thought of before. It was always previously about reduction and getting lighter, but the product, the Nike Vaporfly that came out of that, added more cushion.
Athletes have smashed world records in under a year, all of them wearing Nike's shoes. Earlier this month, Dutch runner Sifan Hassan beat the women's 10,000-meter record by 10 seconds. Her record was then immediately smashed 2 days later by Ethiopia's Letesembet Gede by 5 seconds. Reebok said in a statement, "While we believe in the performance of our running product, we also acknowledge the recent advances in footwear technology at the elite level." Adding that they'll let athletes compete with any footwear that provides an even playing field.
First we had self-driving cars, now we have self-driving boats. American and Dutch engineers are teaming up to develop the world's first fleet of autonomous ships in Amsterdam. NTD's Eddie Aitken has more.
Self-driving boats are changing the future of waterways in the Netherlands. The Amsterdam Institute for Advanced Metropolitan Solutions is working on an autonomous boat project. It aims to develop new ways of navigating boats without a human hand at the wheel.
The boat actually, it's able to make images of its surroundings. So if there's other boats in the area, it will detect that and then will try to steer around.
The city of Amsterdam is testing out prototypes of the small electric vessels. Installed with a communication system, the boats can receive signals from a central coordination point. A computer steers the vessels remotely using data from cameras and sensors that detect the vessel's surroundings. But for developers, the technology is not yet perfect.
We need about 2 to 4 years to get this technology ready, and it's mostly because we want to be absolutely sure that we can navigate safely in the canals. And right now we have the autonomy in place, but one of the next steps is to make sure that we can actually handle any kind of situation that we might encounter in the canals.
These boats are set to perform tasks like transporting passengers and picking up garbage. But before the boats go fully autonomous, developers must overcome legislative hurdles and privacy concerns.
You can now do semi-autonomous operations, but then you still have to have some remote controls. But in the future it will change, because this is something that is happening in the whole maritime industry.
Amsterdam has a vast array of water canals, stretching over 60 miles. Self-driving boats will ease the traffic burden on the streets of the Dutch capital. Eddie Aiken, NTD News.
And finally, this week has been the hottest of the year so far. 2 camels at London's zoo got a helping hand to deal with the heat. NTD's Elle Rhodes tells us more.
2 camels got a haircut at London Zoo this week. A video shared by the zoo shows Bactrian camels named Genghis and Noemi eating leaves while being brushed by zookeepers. According to the zoo, they removed 6 kilos of fur, helping the animals stay cool in hot weather. A zookeeper said camels molt naturally once a year, and Genghis and Noemi were about halfway through their molting process. While the keepers were cleaning their paddock, they helped speed that process up. They said Noemi loved it, but like all youngsters having a haircut, there was some grumbling from Genghis. Elle Rhodes, NTD News.
If you are watching on Sky Channel 190 or Freeview 271, we have some news for you. From Monday 21st of June, NTD UK News will broadcast at 9 p.m. That's all for today, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Stuart Lees.